Well, now we have a time for a few questions. I don't know if
Don't ask hard ones.
I'm sure there's lots of things to ask. Lady in the blue, would you like to?
Thank you very much for coming to speak to us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Would you say that winning the Orwell Prize is fair compensation for your input into caring finance?
Oh, that's a good question. No, not really. It's been fascinating that you know, that the book should be judged to be political writing, because I hadn't thought of it that way. People see the book as readers in a completely different way to me. When Jo Brand read it, and I met Jo Brand at the Welcome, when I won the Welcome. She was one of the judges, and she was the chair of the panel. She said, "I loved your book because it was so funny." And I thought, oh, that's a new take on it. But black comedy is in there, surely. And I hadn't really thought of it as a science book either, but then, you know, the Welcome Prize judged it to be a science writing. And it's been really interesting just meeting people. There are always people who come up at the end, at the signing bit, and have stories to tell about their own relatives, which is similar, almost spookily similar to Nancy's.
So some compensation.
Some compensation. Yes, some compensation.
The gentleman there.
A couple of things really. One is, I was interested to hear what you were saying about Oliver James, because while you're not involved in that kind of caring, there was some great comfort in reading Oliver James and finding that, it's not so bad after all. All I need to do is to go along. When something might happen, I'll go along with the kind of the things that crop up. And if we're going to the airport, then we'll go to the airport and all of those things. And I was interested to hear what you said about that. Is there a difference between Alzheimer's on the one hand and something else called dementia on the other hand? Are they all aspects of the same thing, or are there other dimensions?
There are about 100 kinds. Alzheimer's covers about 60% of them. So they tend to be used interchangeably just because Alzheimer's is the one everyone's heard of. But vascular dementia, I think, is about 20%. And then there are lots of slightly rarer ones, like DLB, dementia with Lewy bodies, which is a bit like Parkinson's disease. And there are some really obscure ones as well, some of which are inheritable. There's one that causes trouble with walking. But dementia is brain failure, that's what it means. And Alzheimer's is just one kind. But I think it's interesting to hear that you're interested about the Oliver James thing, because I found his book very comforting to read too. It just had nothing to do with my experience.
Yeah.
And he had a solution for everything. And I don't know where that comes from really. I just, maybe he and his mother-in-law, I think, who puts it into practice. He's written the book on her behalf basically, as a name. She finds tremendous success with it, but I just didn't, and I've had lots of messages from people who didn't. So I think you just have to be lucky to have the right kind of granny.
Yeah.
Really.
Lady in red.
I'm from the US, and we have a great deal of support groups for caretakers of all kinds of devastating diseases, especially like yours. Have you yourself tried to create any of these support groups? They're usually formed by the caretakers who need to get together and kind of nation support one another.
Yeah. In fact, there's an American edition of Keeper coming out next month, and the American publishers were very keen to have information at the back of the book about places to go, resources. They're very, very big on this. And lots of it was the web addresses of support groups and information. In fact, they're much worse off in the US because the healthcare system is so much more tangled, and it's much more difficult to get the kind of support that we get. But I found lots of interesting forums, and I said at the back of the book, if you are a carer, you must get online, because it's a complete godsend at 2 in the morning when you're tearing your hair out and you can't sleep because the person you're looking after won't settle, to be able to just go online and find other people who are doing exactly the same thing, because it's completely universal. You know, we've already sold Keeper into Poland, Spain, and now China. There's going to be a Chinese version. heaven knows what they're going to make of my Scottish location and endless cups of tea. I suppose the cups of tea will translate. Well, milk in ours, which is, you know, appalling. But yes, absolutely, online carers forums are an absolute godsend. I don't know what we did without the internet. I don't think I would have got through it without the internet. I was on there a lot.
What is the actual timing of the whole thing? When did you go to Luton?
It was 5 years ago now, 2005. Although the book still says 3 years ago because that's when I wrote the book. And we were there for 2 years. We went there in July, in fact it was exactly 5 years ago, and survived is the word, for 2 years and a couple of months, and then we couldn't do any more.
Lady there at the back.
I've lots of questions about Becky Between.
Just
As it strikes me, I haven't read the book, it strikes me as what I'm curious about is where is your husband and your son? Where is the son of the mum who's mentioned?
Yeah,
Also, was there only one son
yes.
in the family and no daughters and no other?
There is a daughter.
And no other sons? Because that's what I would be interested in. Who shared this with you? Because it
Yes.
seems as though it appears that you had this bright idea. Fair enough, you were idealistic.
Okay, well just stop you there. It is the bright idea of me and my husband. It's just that it's my story.
Yeah.
And he is in there all the time. But one of the problems is that he had to work longer hours just to make the money work because I couldn't work.
Yeah.
And I wasn't writing, and he was having to work long hours and was constantly interrupted by his mother. So saying, perhaps this gentleman can tell me who I am, and things like that, and, you know, in tears. So it was very difficult to have a working life and to earn the money to make it all hang together. But yes, he's an incredibly supportive person and was there with me throughout. And when you read the book, you'll see there are lots of details in which the two of us just are overcome by giggles for no good reason, things like that.
Yeah.
Standing outside her bedroom at 3 in the morning when she won't go to bed, joking about rhino tranquilizer darts and things, you know. It's black humour. The daughter, I mustn't talk about too much because she had, you know, she has a restraining order on me. No, that's a joke.
I would have thought it'd be the other way around.
She lives in Canada.
And it would be you who wanted to attack her. She left you to it.
Well, she lives in Canada, which is a really good excuse.